Education regular meeting is called to order at 7 o'clock p.m. Since Chad is not present yet, I will read the meeting notice announcement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Sparta Board of Education has caused notice of the time and place of this meeting to be published in the New Jersey Herald, the Star Ledger, tapintosparta.net, and notice of the meeting has been posted on the Sparta Township School District website. Barbara, if we can have a roll call, please.
Ms. Collier?
Here.
Dr. Hinkle?
Here.
Dr. Martinez?
Here.
Ms. McMichael?
Here.
Mr. Morris?
Here.
Ms. Serafino? Ms. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Wood?
Here.
And Ms. Gagnon?
Present.
Quorum confirmed.
Thank you. And if we can all rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
So we will be convening into closed session at the end of the meeting, contrary to the agenda. So moving on to presentations. We will start with our Seal of Biliteracy Student Recognition, which will be presented by Dr. Andrew Buchanan, the Supervisor of Social Studies, World Languages, and ESL. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Members of the Board of Education, Dr. Beck, Mrs. Rossi, esteemed colleagues, and honored guests. Tonight, we celebrate a remarkable achievement, the awarding of the Seal of Biliteracy to Sparta High School's outstanding students. This recognition highlights their dedication, their hard work, and the mastery of multiple languages, setting them apart as exceptional individuals. What's even more impressive this year is a significant increase in the number of students qualifying for this prestigious honor, a testament to the commitment of our students, the unwavering support of their families, and the dedication of our teachers. I'm going to read out the names now. If students who are being recognized are in attendance with their families, if you could stand with your loved ones when your name is read out, we can clap in celebration when your name is read out. Otherwise, for the sake of time, I'll read out the names first, and we can have a big celebration and photographs outside at the end of the reading of the names. So if you're here, please stand when you see your name. Mahanth Chintha for French. Julia De Pasquale for French. Lauren Elrott for French. Shannon Lloyd, French. Ethan Louison, French. Mackenzie Mongan. Congratulations. Gianna Ramiere. Madeleine Ruffino in French. For those of our seniors last year who graduated but still passed, Kylie Klink, Leanne Kurian, Aidan Olarte, and Lillian Graspon in German. Alana Brown, Spanish. JC Castro, Spanish. Congratulations. Kyle Enderley, Spanish. Congratulations. Giselle Faria. Congratulations. Yahed Ferrer, Spanish. Isabella Fratura, in Spanish. Joshua Garces, Spanish. Tobias Gomez, Spanish. Tyler Harms, Spanish. As an additional point to make, Tyler is this year's valedictorian, so many congratulations. Kiara Hines, Spanish. Michaela Lapp, in Spanish. Thomas Liebert, Spanish. Praise Ojo, Spanish. Congratulations. Avelina Peña, Spanish. Sylvia, now you're all looking at me thinking, he's going to mess this one up, but I've been practicing. It's Żydio. Yeah, thank you. Maybe our Polish contingent at the back might help me with my pronunciation. Brayley Rodriguez in Spanish. Evangeline Torturo, Spanish. Congratulations. Zara Zaman, Spanish. Paula Aldaz Pañaco, in Spanish. Megan Chiesa Rupani, Spanish. Clara de Leon, Spanish. You might notice the little AP with the acorn symbol for the last couple of students, and with Clara's, it means that she also passed the AP Spanish exam. So essentially, she now has a double AP pass in Spanish, which is wonderful because the seal of biliteracy is equivalent to a pass at the AP level. So it's also a very unusual thing for juniors to be able to get to that level so quickly. So it shows an awful lot of hard work, dedication, and commitment to get that. So well done. Also, Linessa Amaro in Spanish. Gavin Cornas was one of our graduates last year, also in Spanish. Russian, William Askin. Elena Fasano in Russian. Julianne Hanzus, also Russian. Rowan Mendel, Russian. Rowan is also our salutatorian. So you can see there his little blurb about thanking his teachers, particularly Mr. Hood, for the experience throughout his time at the high school. In Polish, Daniel Grabowski. In Polish, Antony Tomaszewski. David Trela, Polish. Congratulations. Matthew Trela, Polish. Congratulations. We come to the point now for a special mention that a recognition to these students who've earned not just one, but two different seals of biliteracy, which is an extraordinary accomplishment that reflects both their exceptional linguistic skills and dedication in mastering multiple languages. Additionally, we're proudly celebrating two of our multilingual learners who have achieved this distinction, demonstrating remarkable perseverance and determination. As I said earlier, a pass is equivalent to getting an AP pass, which is not an easy thing to do. So Mary Garcia in Spanish, one of our multilingual learners. Diego Torres, also in Spanish, one of our multilingual learners. In German and Spanish, Anna Nezovic. If you've had the joy and the pleasure of hearing Anna sing, you'll realize that she's got a beautiful voice, which makes hiding behind her at the German market my claim to fame. In German and Spanish, Maria Ignacevic. Congratulations. In German and Russian, Julian Laznik-Morahan. In French and Spanish, Andres Pareño Bayeli. Congratulations. In French and Spanish, Nicolas Vasquez. To those students whose names I've just recognized, congratulations on your commitment to language learning and cultural understanding. Your achievement not only showcases your proficiency, but also your ability to build connections across cultures and communities. To our parents, thank you so much for your encouragement, your support, which have been instrumental in your children's success. The benefits of earning the seal, as you can see, extend beyond the recognition of this achievement. There are material benefits for your children as they consider their next steps at college and at university. Please feel free to reach out to me for a list of colleges and universities that award credit for the Seal of Biliteracy. I'm more than happy to provide that list with you so that you can get a sense of whether or not colleges will provide credit for these passes and save maybe time and money when your child gets to university. To our teachers, these are our World Language Department teachers, K through 12. My thanks, as always, to you for your passion, your dedication, and the playing of such a vital role in guiding our students to this achievement. As we celebrate tonight, let us remember the power of education in shaping the future and inspiring global citizenship. Speaking another language opens the door to new adventures, allowing you to connect with people, explore different cultures more deeply, and experience the world in a more authentic and meaningful way. You may have noticed, and I apologize for going relatively quickly through the slides, but you may have noticed that many of the students mention in their responses that one of the driving forces for their desire to go forward with their language learning is a desire to speak with family members in other countries or who are here but speak a different language. And it's a wonderful way to connect the generations. So an extra sense of desire and commitment to be able to maintain that connection with your family members. Congratulations once again to all of you, the recipients of the Seal of Biliteracy. May you continue to follow your dreams with determination and passion. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You want to announce it?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to take a brief 5-minute recess so everyone can reconvene. May I have a motion, please? Thank you, Kurt. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Perfect. So we are back in session, and we will be moving on to our next presentation, the tentative budget presentation, which will be led by Dr. Matthew Beck, our superintendent, and Ms. Barbara Decker, our business administrator.
Good evening. Yeah, because that window's open. All right, so tonight is our annual presentation of the proposed budget. So just to go through the process here as a reminder for the folks watching at home and for the Board of Ed, tonight we present the proposed budget. And the process is there's a resolution on the agenda this evening to pass the proposed budget, and when that happens, Ms. Decker passes that along to the County Department of Education, who then reviews the budget and makes sure that all the numbers line up and that we are within the regulations and everything like that, and then they give it back to us. At the May 1st Board of Ed meeting, Ms. Decker and I will present the final budget. That evening, we'll go through the numbers again. If there's any revisions, there is time to revise between now and then. If there's any revisions, they will be reflected in the presentation and also in that evening's resolution. And there's also a hearing that evening, a public hearing for the budget. So there is time for public comment, a hearing actually just for the budget itself. And that will be on May 1st. So tonight is the proposed, preliminary sometimes it's called, tentative sometimes it's called, depends what year it is for the Department of Education and what they want to call it. But that's what tonight is. So you might hear us say proposed, tentative, or preliminary tonight. They are all interchangeable, so forgive the adjectives. Just going through the budget process. The budget process this year was no different than it's been in the past, in that we start with a zero-based budget. When we start talking to the administrative team and the building teams about what they need in their buildings, the idea is that you start at zero and tell us what you need, and then we build the budget. Sometimes in some districts, that budgets are just rolled over. They look at what they spent last year. And that doesn't always work, and that's not always efficient because sometimes there's things in the budget that are unnecessary. So we try in as many line items as we can to go zero-based and to build on what we need and to defend what we need in that budget. It's a long process, and Ms. Decker actually hit that process, had to hit the ground running because when she started in January, that's actually about 2 months behind where she would like to be to start the budget. Typically in the fall, she would start the budget and have some time. So she lost about 2 months on the front end of the budget. So we engage the administrative team. We engage the budget secretaries who know the spending of the buildings inside and out. We talk to administrators, building administrators, supervisors, buildings and grounds. What do we need in our budget? What is changing? Are there any large things? Is there anything we can remove from the budget? We review the process. We go over the budget multiple times. And we also engage, of course, we engage the Finance Committee. And we'll talk about what goes into the budget, obviously, throughout this presentation. I'm happy to say this evening, when we present this budget, that this budget contains no reduction in programs and no reduction in certified staff. This is how I usually like to start out the budget presentation because we're going to go through a lot of numbers. Ms. Decker's going to go through a lot of numbers and give you a lot of information this evening, and a lot of people watching from home or people in the audience or the Board of Ed, what does this mean for me? What do all these numbers mean for my taxes? And that's how I like to start off the presentation. The average assessed home is $372,200, which has not changed in 2 years. So that average assessment has been the same for the past 2 years. The 2% tax levy that we will talk about this evening means a $175.89 raise in taxes for the average assessed household, which boils down to $14.66 per month. And by the way, if anybody is watching at home, this presentation should be up on the website for you to follow along at home. And I will turn it over to Ms. Decker to go through some numbers.
Okay, this slide really is just backing up what we just saw, the impact on the average homeowner and the average assessed home. So this compares information provided by the Township Assessor and it shows 25 and 24 ratables, and then you're looking at a decrease in the ratables in the township of $4,941,300, which sounds like a lot of money, but when you actually figure that out, it's less than like 0.2%. So because your ratables are in the billions. Okay, tax levy that we're looking to raise for fiscal year '25 is $68,567,602. There's a 2% increase from fiscal year '24. And you divide those ratables into the tax levy to get the tax rate. So the tax rate for fiscal year '25, you could say if you move the decimal place over 2 places, it's like $2.23. If you move it over for fiscal year '24, you're looking at about $2.18. The assessed value, as we just discussed, has not changed in 2 years, which is quite remarkable, actually, $372,200. You take that tax rate times the assessed value, and you come up with $8,304 for '25. And compared to '24's is $8,128.11. That's an increase for homeowners of $175.89, and that's on an assessed value home. Okay, so when we talk about the revenues, we always like to talk about them first, figure out what it is that we can actually spend. We took fiscal year '25's tax levy of $67,223, or $223,000, excuse me, $139, put a 2% increase on that, which is what the district is allowed to do, considering what the DOE allows us. That's $1.3 million. So our tax levy of $68,567,602 represents 87% of all of the revenue for the district for the general fund. A little bit of tax levy history going back. You want to say anything? We're looking, at 2% basically the last 2 years. '24 was an anomaly at 5.82%. Otherwise, we've been quite consistent back to 2015 at 2%, with just a few years where it actually exceeded that 2%.
And just to go back, 2% is what the tax levy is allowed to be without going out to the voters. But if you recall, back in '24 when we presented the budget, obviously that's above 2%. How are we allowed to do that? You are allowed, based on enrollment and based on other circumstances, you are allowed to dip into what is called banked cap to make adjustments to your tax levy if need be. And you can do that without going out to vote. So we're not doing that this year, but we just like to show you what is in our banked cap. So this is available in our banked cap for future years in case the 2% tax levy doesn't get us where we need to be, that these funds are available, and they expire every 3 years. So this is what's in banked cap and is allowed to be added to the 2% tax levy if needed, but we are not using that for this for the fiscal year '26 budget.
Okay, state aid also increased. We had about a 3.8% increase, which was a nice surprise, a pleasant surprise. From '24 to '25, we're seeing $242,896 additional in state aid. So when we look at our tax revenue summary of all of the revenues combined for the general fund and what we can actually spend, we went over the tax levy, we went over the state aid. Fund balance is calculated, it's based on fiscal year '24 surplus, which was about $800,000, and then the remaining part of that $1,263,503 came from the excess on the 2%, which is all, I know, probably not familiar talk, but it's from the audit and a result of the audit. So $1,263,503 is our fund balance. Other local sources includes the interest that we earn on all of the various bank accounts, as well as facility use revenues. SEMI is the Special Education Medicaid Initiative Program, and that has $3,528. The purpose of that program is to recover any portion of health-related expenses for our students with IEPs that are medically necessary for those students, whether they were home or in school, they need those services. And those services might be counseling, they could be speech, PT, and OT, a nurse, any specialized transportation, or even evaluations. So there's a number of things that fall under that category of SEMI. Extraordinary aid is another area pertaining to special education students. If they have extremely high costs to educate those children, at the end of the year, basically in May, we'll have a extraordinary aid application that our special services director will submit into the state of New Jersey, and we'll learn later on what type of revenue we can get back or reimbursement for those excessive costs. And then the withdrawal from the reserve accounts, we have two different reserve accounts. We have a maintenance reserve and a capital reserve. We'll go into more detail on them in a minute, but we are looking to withdraw about $1,355,000. Altogether, that gives us a general fund budget or anticipated revenues for the general fund of $78,487,880. Here's a pie chart just representing all of those various types of revenues. And if you look between state aid and the tax levy, you're looking at 96% of your revenue just coming from the taxpayers and the state aid portion. So here's where we compare revenues. I always like to make a nice apples to apples comparison. So what you're not seeing on this screen is those reserve withdrawals. So we're comparing just straight revenues to straight revenues so we can get a clear picture how we're trending from 25 to 26. The tax levy increase we already saw was about 1.3 million increase. State aid is increasing at just under 243,000. The fund balance went down slightly at almost $6,500. Extraordinary aid is budgeted a little bit higher with an increase of 218,000. The semi actually went down. Those numbers are given to us by the DOE, and that's a decrease of 27,382. And our miscellaneous revenues went up about 213,000. All told, when we look at fiscal year 26 revenues compared to fiscal year 25 revenues, that's an additional $1,985,384. So that's really good for the district, very good. And that number, keep that in mind, it's a 2.6% increase. When we get to the appropriation side, I like to come back to that same number to make sure that we're agreeing on both the appropriation side and the revenue. So there's also another type of revenue out there. It's called special revenue. We'll call it Fund 20 as well. And in this slide, we're showing just the federal grants that are available to the school district, and it's the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, Titles 1, 2, and 4. Titles 1 and 4 are budgeted at 80% of what we have this fiscal year. Title 2 is budgeted at 70%, and that's per DOE recommendation from the county office. Title 1, we're supporting students and programs. Title 2 is professional developments, basically for our staff members. And Title 4, we're doing culture and climate. The IDEA Basic is the second type of entitlement we get at a federal level, and the basic entitlement is actually 80% again of this year's entitlement, and that's $673,010, and that helps defray the cost of our out-of-district tuition. So we're looking at $771,454 at the federal grant level or grant entitlements. Also at special revenue is at the state level. We have our preschool education program, PEA, and the state, we're on target to get $3,412,626. That's much larger than our current year allotment or entitlement, and that is due to the program growing. We right now have 8 classes in district and 1 out-of-district provider, or I should say outside provider. In the fall next year, when we open up, we're supposed to have 15 sections, and that would be our 8 here still, 7 at outside providers. So we're supposed to continue to hit our UniFIRST target through the DOE. So we've got $3.4 million. The district also has to push in a portion of our district funds to cover, that's a general education, PEA is a general education preschool program, and it also has some special education students in it as well. And the district's portion to contribute, because we get special education categorical aid, is about $382,000. So all told for preschool, we're looking at $3,795,330. Most of that coming from the state, small portion coming from the district. So if you take the prior slide that has the federal entitlements of $771,000, add them together, our special revenue fund comes in at just over $4.5 million. We also have reserve funds. There's 2 types of there's 2 types of reserve funds that we have. We have capital reserve and maintenance reserve. Capital reserve is where we typically deposit money at the end of the year, depending on how well or the year went, and we're able to use that in the future for capital projects. And maintenance reserve can be withdrawn at any time by resolution of the board and to help pay or defray the costs of any maintenance reserve, required reserve expenses that we might incur. So we're covering with capital reserve, the ESIP annual payment. The ESIP is the Energy Savings Improvement Plan that we went through a few years ago, and we're able to make a lot of improvements to save energy. and this is the payback of the lease payment, and then the IT upgrades was an infrastructure upgrade of about $28,000. So you see that capital reserve anticipated expenditure would be $604,095, and the required maintenance in the event that we need that to withdraw is at just under $400,000. So cap reserve, as of March 1st, we had just over $1.6 million in it, and we're anticipating taking out about $477. That should leave us with about a $1.1 million balance. Maintenance reserve, as of March 1st, had $861,000 in it, roughly. Withdrawal of just under $400,000 should leave us with about $465,000. Okay, now we look at the appropriations. We know what kind of revenue we had. We're going to start talking about appropriations. We compare the current year, fiscal year 25 to 26, and see how we're trending. The DOE, when we put all of our 2025 expenditures and I should say appropriations into the software, we're required to put in all of those balances as adjusted as of February 1st. So that means they're not the same as the original budget that was approved prior by the board. Also included in that 24-25 is the prior year encumbrances, and by that is what I mean, just like at December 31st when we turn over to March or January 1st as a new year, you don't have all your bills paid. Well, we didn't have all our bills paid June 30th, so July 1st when we rolled over, the total of $557,900 came with us that we had to pay in 96. So they're in that 24-25 total. That's why I'm going to say it's not really apples to apples yet. We'll clear that up. So we look at the first line is instruction, and we see an increase of 3.9%. Instruction encompasses all instruction in the district, general education, special education, as well as English as a second language, gifted and talented, and our intervention. All instruction, 3.9%. Support services encompasses a lot of different areas of the school district, and again, that's all student instruction basically related as well. You're looking at attendance, health services, the nurse's office, speech, PT, and OT, one-to-one services for our students, guidance, as well as Child Study Team, or CST, the library, Media Resource Center is in there, professional development, curriculum is in there, and improvement instruction. So there's a number of different programs within those support services that also support children in educational learning, and that saw hardly even a decrease at all. Athletics and co-curricular, looking at 2.7% increase. Out-of-district tuition is up 11.3%, and that includes not only our special education students that are out of district, our charter kids that are out of district, and those high school students attending Sussex Tech as well. So all out-of-district tuition. Administration, there's 4 different components in administration. You've got your general administration, which is your superintendent's office. You've got building level administration, your vice principals, principals, and everything that encompasses in those offices. Central office, which is the business office, and all of the staff in there. And as last one is administrative technology, and that's your technology coordinators. So the administration line is seeing about a 5% decrease. Operations include all of building and grounds, which is your maintenance, custodial, and your grounds, as well as security is in there as well, and a 5% decrease in operations. Transportation saw about a 1% decrease. Benefits is an 8% increase, and benefits is much more than just medical benefits. We're talking about the employer side of FICA, and Medicare is in there for employer payroll taxes. The workman's comp is in there as well. We're also required as an employer to make a once-a-year annual payment to PERS. PERS is the Public Employee Retirement System, and that requires employers with staff members in the program to make an annual payment, and all of our full-time aides that are non-certificated staff are in that PERS program. So that's well over $1 million every year that's billed by the state, the DOE. And we also have the sick day payout for our employees is in there, and a lot of other fringe benefits that's contractual as well in there. So it really encompasses much more than just your health, prescription, and medical benefits. And the last one is capital outlay. And capital outlay can, you see a large increase there. It's due to that, it's due to the ESIP and the lease payment being charged there as opposed to different areas of the budget. And again, we have capital projects in there, it would be in there, as well as any fixed assets, meaning any kind of purchases we make that are over $2,000 in the budget have to go in capital outlay. So we're looking at $76,182,041 for fiscal year 25. and $78,487,880 for fiscal year '26. So just pay attention to those two totals. You're seeing a 3% increase. They're going to carry over to the next slide, and now we're going to pull out what we don't want to see so we can compare apples to apples and bring it back to the same amount on the revenue side. So this is a summary of the appropriations, same totals we just saw for fiscal year '25 and '26. We're backing out those reserves because they change every year. They're not the usual and the common occurrences. And we're also taking out those prior year encumbrances. So when you net those two out for fiscal year '25, you're at $75,502,141. And '26 comes in at $77,487,525. And the difference between those two is our increase in appropriations, $1,985,384, which is the same number we saw on the revenue screen. So we know we tie in on both sides. 2.6% increase. Here's a pie chart to help you understand a little bit better. If you look at instruction at 42% and support services and tuition at 15%, that's 59% of your budget, and that's really the bulk of everything that's going in to educate our students. So 59%. You've got benefits in all the other areas as well. Highlights.
And a couple of highlights in the budget for next year. The technology purchases, we are looking at purchasing another 250 iPads for Alpine Elementary School, and our typical 550 Chromebooks for the rising 6th graders and 9th graders, and also 4 Promethean boards across those buildings. Typically in the past, you would see that these purchases might have been in the budget, but they might have been in there as lease purchases. Ms. Decker was able to get these purchases in there as straight purchases so that we are not bound in the future for lease purchase and paying off these items for multiple years. A piano, of course, at Helen Morgan School. Computer replacement at our Alpine sewer plant. The Alpine sewer plant computer system that runs the sewer plant is becoming antiquated, and it is on its last leg, so we make sure that we have that in our budget as well. And accounting and personnel software for the business office that Ms. Decker inherited the current system, which she was not a great fan of. Many people were not. And we're going to switch that accounting and personnel software to a new product for next year. And we included this in last year's presentation just to show the enrollment trend in our district. These are the ASSA numbers. These are the October 15th numbers, the official numbers that get submitted to the state. You can see what they are, and there is a continued upward trend in our enrollment in our district. Our district is continuing to grow, which is good. And then these are the budgetary costs. When you compare the per pupil costs, those are not the actuals just yet. And the fiscal year one is the projected one. The fiscal year 2026 one is the projected one. So you're just comparing the per pupil costs along with the administrative costs and along with the legal costs, comparing the next year and the year that we're living in. And then this is the resolution that is on this evening's agenda with all the detail that is required by the NJDOE, with all of the language and of the numbers that Ms. Decker just went over in great detail. That's the resolution that you see on this evening's agenda. And if I could, just one more time, just commend and compliment Ms. Decker for coming in, like I said, 2 months behind typically in the budget process, rolling up her sleeves and getting right after an $80 million budget in really in about 2 months' time, which is unbelievable. So Ms. Decker, great job, and a great job with the admin team as well, and of course the Board of Education helping us along the way.
Okay, moving on to our student representatives report.
To begin, the KJS United team, which is the high school hockey team composed of students from Kinnelon, Jefferson, and Sparta, won states on Monday at Prudential Center. Spring sports began on Monday. The Chemistry Olympiad Club just had their test this week. DECA went to their state competition in Atlantic City this past week, and 12 students qualified for the national competition, which will be in Orlando, Florida this April. And then the high school spring musical, which is Little Shop of Horrors, will have their shows this weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Thank you so much. May I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
Motion.
Thank you, Lauren. Second? Thank you, Kurt. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, moving on to our superintendent's report.
Thank you. The superintendent report is a little shorter this evening, a shorter time between board meetings, and really I should have just allowed Ms. Byrne to do my superintendent's report because I will repeat multiple things that she said. Great things, obviously. But first, congratulations again to all of our Seal of Biliteracy recipients, and thank you to all of our world language teachers who have brought out the best in these students. I'd like to acknowledge the lone retirement on this evening's agenda. That would be Ms. Lisa Kaplan, science teacher at Sparta Middle School, and Ms. Kaplan has served our district for 23 years. I will reiterate a promotion for the musical, which Ms. Byrne already did, and I'm sure Ms. DeLucia will do again. Just a promotional reminder that the Sparta High School musical will be performed this weekend with Friday and Saturday shows at 7 p.m. and the Sunday show at 2 p.m. This year's musical is Little Shop of Horrors, which had its preview tonight, the senior citizen show this evening, before this board meeting. And I am looking forward to attending with my family tomorrow evening. The hockey team, congratulations to the Sparta High School ice hockey team who won the Public School Co-op State Championship on Monday evening at the Prudential Center. It was an amazing run and an unforgettable experience for our ice hockey players, both winning that championship and doing so at the Prudential Center, where the professional team plays, where the Devils play. And this one is hot off the press, as I just learned this afternoon via email from the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association. They announced that Mr. Steve Stoner has been recognized by the NIAAA as a certified athletic administrator. To earn this distinction, Mr. Stoner has demonstrated the highest level of knowledge and expertise in the field of interscholastic athletic administration. The voluntary certification process included a thorough evaluation of the candidate's educational background, experience, and professional contributions, as well as a rigorous, comprehensive written examination. Mr. Stoner is one of the elite group of interscholastic athletic administrators nationwide to attend this level of professionalism. So congratulations to Mr. Stoner. And lastly, this week, our spring athletes kicked off their season, and I would like to wish them all the best of luck, the athletes and our coaches as well.
Thank you so much. Board President's monthly report, I just would like to thank Barbara for allowing each of us to come in and pick your brain on the budget. We had a lot of time to pour through a lot of line items. We really appreciate it. I think most, if not all of us attended or were able to contact you to discuss any questions. So while we might not have questions at the microphone, we certainly had quite a few in your office. So thank you for doing that. And also to segue to the HIB report, before I move on and request a motion to approve the HIB report, I'd also like to thank Rocky for advocating for a more comprehensive approach to the board approval process for our HIB reports. I'd also like to thank our administration for very quickly implementing those requests for summary reports in greater detail. Beyond bolstered compliance, I think it's going to help us recognize and address trends that we're noticing in the district as a board, and of course, work collaboratively to find solutions along the way. So that said, may I have a motion to approve the HIB report? Thank you, Kurt. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Rocky. And discussion, no. Roll call, please, Barbara.
Ms. Collier,
Yes.
Dr. Hinkle, Dr. Martinez,
Yes.
Ms. McMichael,
Yes.
Mr. Morris, Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Wood,
Yes.
and Ms. Gagnon.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to delegate and liaison reports. Does anyone have anything they'd like to?
We had our first town council Board of Ed liaison meeting last week before. The one thing the town's working on, there are several trails that go through the town. They're in the process of extending them, cleaning them up, making them more usable for the community. They're also going to make new trails, and one of the trails they want to do is connecting the middle school to the high school. So that's in the beginning processes. There's another piece of land in there that's owned by a private company. So it's still in the talks, but that's just the one thing we're in the process of working with.
Thank you, Kurt. Anyone else?
To jump in, I was able to attend the Sussex County Educational Services Commission meeting.
And like us, they recently had their budget meeting, but fortunately, we were not plagued with the technical difficulties they had. And it made me grateful for our support and IT team that we have every meeting, which is really nice, and we're very consistent. They also discussed how their curriculum is going virtual and how some of the companies are making them buy the in-person books anyway, which I think we recently touched in curriculum, so I thought that was pretty funny, how pretty full circle that was. Additionally, they mentioned how they do not consider new students unless a public school is already involved with the family, which I appreciated for the role they play with special education students. They also described how you need an architect to do things, even like a parking lot, which I wasn't particularly aware of, but I thought was interesting. And another reminder is that if we ever need a substitute for a field trip in terms of nurses, we can always call the Sussex ESC, but I know our admin is aware of that. And also in terms of the Sparta, or the Student Education Foundation, I have some exciting upcoming events to report. To start off, there is an event on Saturday, March 22nd. Please look at their Facebook page to find some more information out. And a new exciting event is their inaugural pickleball tournament on Friday, May 30th from 6 to 9 p.m. It's going to be at the Sparta Athletic Club, and there will be teams of 2. It's going to be $30 per person. And if anyone's ever interested in signing up for a Sparta Education or a Student Education Foundation, so I'm getting it confused now, Sparta or Student. I think it's Sparta Education Foundation. Check their Facebook page, and you can always search them by name. With Facebook, it's super easy to find things just by typing it in with keywords. And you can always check out their events, and keep in mind that all of their events do support Sparta schools and Sparta teachers and allow Sparta teachers to excel. And even a recent teacher I had, Mr. Scognamilio, is using and continuing to use the foundation to do more and more work in the schools. So always be aware and try to attend when you can.
Thank you. Anyone else? So I have a few updates from Ideas. While Ideas did not meet this month, given the quick time frame since our last meeting, the Personnel and Policy Committee has received the proposed revisions to policies 2530 and 9130. I'd like to thank our district media specialists for the quick turnaround and for drafting these proposed revisions, which we will be reviewing during our next committee meeting. If all goes well, which I'm hopeful for, I anticipate that we will see these items added to our next month's meeting agenda for a first reading. To NJSBA, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the newer board members who are leaning into their NJSBA training opportunities. Not only do the NJSBA's webinars and training sessions offer credit to board members, but these events really help us excel in our roles. So kudos to everyone who is taking advantage of these services, including new board member weekend. Again, these are all included in our NJSBA membership, so we should take advantage of these opportunities. Also, on a county level, Sparta will be hosting the NJSBA and Sussex County's annual Unsung Heroes event this month, where students across Sussex County will be recognized for their contributions to their communities. We're all looking forward to that. And lastly, since Emily is not present, regarding the Garden State Coalition of Schools, I was able to attend virtually the Zoom event that was offered by Garden State, and they actually hosted Attorney General Platkin. So during the Zoom event, he discussed the effects of the latest executive orders and even the Dear Colleague letter that was recently circulated. I found the session to be incredibly informative, and on a very personal note, I just want to say that it really reinforced my belief that Sparta is and will remain compliant with state law and ensure that all Sparta students, all of their rights are upheld. And that's it for delegate and liaison reports. Oh, go ahead,
Sorry,
Chad.
one more thing I forgot to add in. Sorry, my notes were a little shifted. We also had another, I think we had, I'm looking at my notes in my notebook, and I feel like we're doing so much climate and culture work that I'm getting my dates confused. But I believe we had 2 meetings for climate and culture. And one we had in the Media Center, the Sparta High School Media Center, and it was a really excellent, informative meeting. I really appreciated learning about everything that's in place. And when you are working with people and it's behind an email and you hear about teams in a school, it's very impersonal and it's not face-to-face, and you know the work is happening, but you're kind of unsure about the results. And when you have everybody in a meeting sharing the results and you're seeing the faces behind the teams, you can really see the work that's being done. And I feel very confident about the infrastructure that we have moving forward, despite the fact that our St. Elizabeth partnership is ending.
Thank you so much for not letting us forget that one, because that was very important. I was also able to attend C3, and thank you to Ms. Rossi for spearheading that. Also, Ms. Barker, we were really impressed with what we're seeing. I feel like especially having the opportunity to attend and see how many members of our buildings are totally all in on making sure that our climate and our culture are well reflected in our district and at their optimal levels. It was really inspiring, not just as a board member, but as a parent. So thank you so much for that. And moving on, if no one else has anything, we will move on to public comments. Public comment number 1. Public comments are invited on matters pertaining only to action items at this time. Please state the action item number as well as your name, municipality, and group affiliation if appropriate for the record. Each participant will receive 3 minutes to speak. Once you have allotted your 3 minutes to speak, you will not be permitted to speak again until public comment number 2. All statements should be directed to me as the presiding officer. The board or administration may or may not respond to any questions or comments after the conclusion of the public participation. Okay, motion to close. Thanks, Kurt. All in favor? Or excuse me, second? Thank you, Michelle. All in favor? Any opposed? Great. Motion to move personnel and policy items 15.1 through 15.23. Thank you, Kurt. Second. Discussion?
Not much to discuss with the quick turnaround. There's nothing. Status quo.
Here,
You're
here.
welcome.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Dr. Hinkle? Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Mr. Morris? Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you so much. Motion to move curriculum, instruction, and special services items 16.1 through 16.5. Motion. Thank you, Chad. Second. Thank you, Michelle. Discussion.
To touch a little bit about the committee work this month, we touched a little bit about the guest speaker policy and just mainly about alignment with our current practices in that guest speakers will now require secondary approval. And Ms. Rossi, I'd love for you to touch on some more of the aspects in curricular resources, but I really particularly appreciated the conversation we had about consistency when using Google Classroom, especially when it comes to parents using Google Classroom. It can be a little inconsistent, especially when you jump from grade level or building level. And we kind of are, we're starting to discuss about, or we're starting to discuss the idea of implementing some either requirements or some do's and don'ts and kind of streamlining it, but also not limiting teachers to what they can and can't do, more just so that it's more consistent, especially for parents.
Thanks, Chad. Yeah, so we talked a little bit, just piggybacking off of that, about looking at some kind of guidelines that allowed for like balancing teacher autonomy with some level of consistency. We're working with some partner staff members to kind of get a sense of how they're using it, specifically for resources. That's definitely an area where, like, when you're looking to find things to refer back to, having some consistency there is definitely helpful. So we'll do more work with that, and there'll be some guidelines that we can lean into next year as we continue forward. We also talked about textbooks and resources, areas that maybe we could find savings in. This year during the budget, we analyzed all the different tools we use. We cut back and streamlined our technology resources quite a bit last year, and even more so this year. That's one thing in our technology plan, is really looking for a balance between that technology delivery and kind of, authentic resources that are in your hands and not virtual or online. And so actually when we went through that technology plan and we got some feedback from high school students, that was something that they provided to us, that is a balance that they're seeing in a return from COVID. They appreciate the ability to take notes or use, or options even. Some prefer using the opportunity to use, let's say, a Google Doc to take notes versus their notebook, and those things are being provided. We talked about things like math workbooks, for example. That was a question, like, is there potential savings there? But we have an agreement with the vendor, which ends in the next, not next year, but the following. And so we're looking at different resources and collaborating with different schools to just see what people are doing in terms of, products, programs, resources, and tools that we're using. And I think that sums up our conversation there.
Thank you so much. Roll call, please.
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Dr. Hinkle? Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Mr. Morris? Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. Moving on to finance, may I have a motion to move item 17.1 through 17.7?
Motion.
Thank you, Rocky. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Rebecca. Discussion.
Thank you. It's a short time between meetings, but a lot of stuff's happening. Bus inspections are going to happen March 18th and March 27th. A technology has been proposed to put on the buses called Transportant, which will allow the district to monitor buses real time in case there is an issue, which will also allow parents to know when buses are arriving and leaving the reported bus stops. All winter sports were managed using district buses, which is a cost savings for the district. Any bus route that is still contracted will be increased at 3.57, which is CPI for this year. And the committee has agreed to allow for a 6-hour donation of district buses for the annual Junior Women's Club of Sparta event, district giving back to the community. Following, buildings and grounds, as mentioned earlier, the Alpine sewer is currently not working manually. It's working manually, not through the computer. We've asked for a second quote and further have asked Ms. Decker if we can purchase it before the second or before use this current budget and not wait for June, since seems like something important. The district was notified by a neighbor at Helen Morgan that there's a dead tree. Buildings and Grounds is currently looking on how we can, or how they can, remove that tree. And we're keeping our fingers crossed that JCP&L owns up to it and actually covers the cost, which would be roughly about $9,000. The oil tank sensor was changed, which caused it to be out of sync with the software. So we need to update the oil tank monitoring system, another computer. That has to be done as soon as possible. That's at state contract of roughly $13,000, and that needs to be done immediately so that we don't run foul of the Department of Environment. We did that. Budget, tax levy, which we just saw. We also asked Dr. Beck to ask his administrators to get the list of end-of-life repairs needed in the district so that we can start looking at what's needed to get repaired and not be surprised by it. And the inventory of buses would be reviewed with the intent of purchasing a new bus, which you noticed in the budget as well. Going to the Verizon subject, we were informed of not specific hardware, but what was intended for roughly $1,000 a month rent. The committee felt that it was not worth the $1,000 a month, and we have asked Ms. Decker to notify Verizon that the district is not interested. We've also allowed for 3 additional purchases for the district: the school bus at $120K, a new cargo van at roughly $54,000, and a new ride-on leaf blower at $12,000. You saw the budget, which was reviewed. And the last thing of interest is that we did approve the purchase of CDK accounting software, so Ms. Decker could have a couple of more hours in her day playing with old software. That's it.
Thank you so much, Rocky. And before we move on, I just want to mention for the discussion, if anyone has anything they'd like to weigh in on, particularly I know Verizon was a rather contentious topic in meetings prior, it would not be appropriate during old business because by that point it would essentially be out of order if I'm not mistaken. So it would be most appropriate to discuss that now if anyone has anything they'd like to weigh in on. Okay, seeing nothing, the only thing I want to add to that point, Rocky already expressed, we were informed by Ms. Decker that of Verizon's specific intentions regarding 4 antennas, which would be hidden on the auditorium nothing to penetrate the building. However, when we learned or confirmed that it was only $1,000 a month that was going to be proposed to us, which was up in the air up until this point, as well as the meter that would be needed to gauge energy usage, we agreed, I would say unanimously and quickly, that it was not worth pursuing. So just an update there, while we did not receive the official list of equipment, that is the result of that. So moving on, if anyone has anything else. Okay, seeing nothing, we'll have a roll call.
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Dr. Hinkle? Dr. Martinez, sorry.
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Mr. Morris? Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you so much. Moving on to operations, I don't see anything, but moving right to a roll call. You see that there? Mark?
Why is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is there anything for operations?
Nothing? Okay. So no need to vote?
Moving on to 19.
We'll move right along. Old business. Anyone have anything for old business they wish to discuss? Okay. Moving on to new business. Anyone have anything? Great. Public comment number 2. The board uses the second public comment period to invite comments on all matters pertaining to the school district. Please state your name, municipality, and group affiliation if appropriate for the record. Each participant will receive 3 minutes to speak. Once you have had your allotted 3 minutes to speak, you will not be permitted to speak again. All statements should be directed to me as the presiding officer. The board or administration may or may not respond to any questions or comments after the conclusion of the public participation.
Hello. Thank you for excusing my tardiness. I was at the preview of the spring musical. Raced right on over. We had over 250 people in the house. It was very good. Very quiet, but you know. Anyway. Good evening. My name is Angela DeLucia, and I am the very proud president of the Sussex County Education Association and Sparta Education Association. As we enter the vibrant spring season, we take a moment to celebrate the incredible efforts of the hardworking and dedicated educators of Sparta Township Public Schools. Our educators are the heart of the community, and their unwavering commitment to shaping the minds of our future leaders is truly inspiring. Spring sports have begun, and our athletes are ready to showcase their talents, thanks to the guidance and support of their coaches. It's a reminder of how our educators, whether on the field, in the classroom, or beyond, foster teamwork, discipline, and determination in every student with whom they encounter. We also have exciting news from our school community. Our robotics teams are excelling, pushing the boundaries of innovation and technology. The high school DECA students are gearing up for an incredible opportunity in Orlando, ready to represent our school with pride and dedication. And at Helen Morgan School, we are embracing the power of community by building connections and a lifelong love of reading through One Book, One School and the family favorite, Spaghetti Dinner. In addition to these achievements, our educators and the Board of Education are working collaboratively to ensure our policies remained aligned with the ever-evolving needs of our students. Together, the librarians and the board are revising policies 2530 and 9130, reinforcing our commitment to maintaining a supportive and thriving educational environment. At the core of it all is the deep support we offer each other. The members of the Sparta Education Association are not only invested in the success of our students, but also in the well-being and growth of the community. Together, we work towards the common goal of making Sparta Township Public Schools a place where every student and educator can thrive. As we celebrate Women's History Month, we also recognize the impactful contributions of women in our community. Dr. Giannuzzi just served as a panel speaker for the Youth Summit, Women in Leadership, sponsored by the Special Olympics Organization. Her involvement is a testament to the leadership, resilience, and inspiration women bring to our schools and beyond. We are incredibly grateful for the continued support from our current Board of Education. Their partnership is invaluable, and it strengthens the foundation of our schools. Thank you to all of our educators, staff, and community members for your dedication. We are all stronger together. Thank you.
Hi, Jenny Derrick, staff into Sparta. Thank you for the budget presentation. I don't yet see it online. I'm sure it'll be uploaded. Barbara, I just had a couple of quick questions, if I may, and maybe I can reach out to you directly. But the one that really stood out, preschool, we're going to be adding six sections outside. So we have 8 + 1 this year, 8 + 7 next year. How does that get us up to representing all of the preschool students? Do we have is this going to give everybody a seat, do you know?
So we continue to work every year towards the universe and grow each year, and that's our anticipation for the current year, but we haven't reached the entire universe yet. It takes a number of years to get there.
Sure, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And then is the expectation that preschool aid will continue indefinitely? The state has made a commitment to that? Okay.
Right now, it's in the budget. I've heard recently, yes, it's in the budget, and they're considering and speaking about putting it into actual law, so like a statute, but right now, yes, it's in the budget.
It's a little scary not to have it in law. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. The technology on the buses, is there a place I can find out about what that is, or should I just reach out to you? Rocky discussed it in their committee.
That program, I will, I can email
So
you the
I can
name
reach
of
out
it,
to you
yes.
directly.
Yeah, I would just
Okay.
like to clarify, that's only in the discussion phase at this time.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought it was being implemented, my misunderstanding. And then just a quick request for an update on a couple of initiatives in the district. How are we doing with our DIP for absenteeism, chronic absenteeism? Do we have an update on the referendum? And do we have an update on how the cell phone policy is being embraced and any impact that may be having on our schools?
I'll wait till you close it.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one, motion to close. Thank you, Kurt, second. Thank you, Rebecca, excuse me. All in favor? Okay, any opposed?
The chronic absenteeism action plan is still being implemented at each building level. We won't know the actual statistics until we get them from the Department of Education, but we are continuing to monitor it and to adjust it. And in fact, the admin team submitted to me a couple revisions that they were doing to their practices at the last admin meeting. The referendum, not many changes from last month. Last month, as you know, we contracted with a public relations firm. I reached out to that firm the following day. They're going to reach back out to me very soon and come out to the district. They want to tour the buildings. They want to get an idea of Sparta and our buildings, and those are the initial steps. And next month, we are looking to start the board meeting at 6 p.m. so that we can go into executive session and hopefully appoint a construction manager. And the cell phone policy, still going strong. By all accounts, from teacher feedback, from admin feedback, is that, and from student feedback, I'm sorry, it is going strong, and it is achieving the goals that we wanted it to achieve.
I would just add to that, while we can't, in education, you can't isolate one measure. There's lots of things going on at one time. But we had we do screenings, academic performance screenings, like in the beginning, middle, and end of the year. So our winter data team meeting, we started to look at all kinds of different aggregations of data and compilations that we were collecting. And specifically at the high school level right now, there is substantial increases in student performance and student growth in both ELA and math. So while it's hard to say it's specific to one thing, I think what's definitely clear is that cell phones are a non-academic barrier, and when we responded to them, we do see not only from observation, students interacting, talking to one another, socializing, engaging, but we definitely see growth in performance. So it's good stuff.
And one other thing to add to that, we do have an ad hoc referendum committee in the works, and they're going to be partnering up with that PR firm to make sure that we're doing our part as well to get the word out. But I would say within the next month or two, there's going to be quite a barrage of information, so you're welcome. Anyone, or excuse me, motion to close, we did, excuse me, for the good of the order, anyone?
I just wanted to congratulate the naming of our 2025 valedictorian, Tyler Harms, that was here tonight, and salutatorian, Rowan Rendell, who wasn't here tonight, but I saw him in the presentation as well. But excited for our top 10 dinner tradition. It's great that we could continue that while still looking to remove class rank to best serve all of our graduates with their college admissions. But very proud of this graduating class and wish them the best of luck as they complete their senior year and go on to do their AP exams. And it's a busy season for them, but it's exciting to see truly what Dr. Lazara said in his post, the best of the best, and we have much to celebrate. And I'm looking forward to attending also the Unsung Heroes event that Caitlin mentioned. I think it's really a great thing for Sparta to be hosting because it does show our commitment to every student every day. So we can look at certainly the highest academic performers, but I also can take a look at, and I appreciate the Finance Committee and Ms. Decker, the hours that we spent together. It was really nice to be able to go and line by line together and to be able to say that we've looked at every line of the budget. And it also gives such a great understanding of just everything that goes into it in the commitment to our students. So we see that in the dollars, but we also see that in the just robust programs that we're looking at for everyone from our gifted and talented to those who need more support. So thank you everyone for your efforts.
Well said, Lauren. And just to add to that, Tyler Harms is actually Rebecca and I's unofficial coach for our women's softball league. So I'm extremely biased, and I won't get into too much detail, but he is a phenomenal human being in many ways. So kudos to him, as you mentioned. Also, I have tickets tomorrow night, my family and I, for the Little Shop of Horrors. It's our annual tradition that we absolutely can't wait for. Very excited for opening night. And I, too, would like to commend Barbara for managing to keep us within that 2% cap in a very important year when we're looking at a referendum on the precipice, as we keep saying, or on the horizon, rather, as we keep saying. It was really important to a lot of us here to make sure that we were as conservative as we possibly could be when it comes to our fiscal responsibility. And I'm proud of the work you've done. I'm proud of the work we've all done to review that, and we appreciate you, as Dr. Beck said, especially on that quick turnaround. So thank you so much for your efforts. And with that, anyone else for good of the order?
So for closed session.
Bear with me one moment. Okay. We will now convene into closed session, whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, provides for the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Sparta Township Board of Education is of the opinion that such circumstances exist to discuss personnel matters and attorney-client privilege matters, which are exempt from public participation pursuant to New Jersey Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Now be it resolved that the Sparta Township Board of Education shall enter executive session at
8:18.
8:18 p.m. The board will reconvene is it 8:19? 8:19. The board will reconvene in public session at the conclusion of the executive portion, excuse me, bear with me, of executive session. The information discussed during executive session will be disclosed to the public as soon as it is determined by the board that the information is no longer confidential. No action will be taken when we return. And let's have a motion, please. Thank you, Rebecca. Second. Thank you, Kurt. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.